you're a GSPR alumni, you haven't heard what I'm about to say from anyone. You guys might know that when Michelangelo was asked about how he built the statue of David, he said that I look into the marble and I saw him already there, and all I did was to remove all the marble that was on him to set him free. So what I'd like to communicate to you is a vision, and similar to Michelangelo, I feel the vision is already there and it is being expressed through different voices around the world. And for me, this is a chance to practice to communicate this vision. I have never done before, so it's a practice. I call the talk The Great Work of Our Times. How many of you have read a book by Thomas Berry called The Great Work? Okay, great. It's a good book. I recommend to read. It's not one of these things like, anyway. It's a great book to read. Thomas Berry speaks about, he looks at evolution of humanity all the way from when we became Homo sapiens 200,000 years ago, approximately. And he says that every generation has had something called the great work. It was something that required that generation to transcend itself, to reinvent itself in order for the human journey to continue on this planet. And he says that the great work of our generation is for the first time global in nature. No other generation of humanity before had a challenge which was global in nature. And the way he phrases it, he says, the great work of our generation is to find a mutually enhancing way for the human species to live on this planet. It's to find a mutually enhancing way for the human species to live on this planet. As I said, such kind of visions require all of us to reinvent ourselves fundamentally and to do something we have never been done before. So this is what I think is required for us going forward to be able to generate this future. The first thing is that it requires us to work together as one species. We have never done this before. There is only very few examples where we work together as one species. One of them that I know is an initiative to gather all the seeds of grains from all around the world and store them in the iceberg north of Norway to preserve the diversity of grains for the future, because our agriculture is currently killing the diversity and we do not have the DNA of the grains. So this is one initiative where we all work together as humanity. I feel it requires us to find a transpersonal vision, not a personal, because personal vision always by definition polarizes. Only a vision that is truly transpersonal, that is not somebody's vision, but that we all express through our own personal means, can be a uniting enough force to unite us as humanity to work together. I believe it requires us to tap into all the wisdom we've been ever able to create, to look at the wisdom of the shamanic populations that have been here for hundreds of thousands of years before we came, to look into the modern science and technology, to look at modern philosophy, to look at old philosophy, to take all the pieces we have ever been able to create and look for the essence that we can join together to create the solutions for the future. Currently, for example, one of the big topics is sustainability. Most of the Native American tribes had a tradition when they were making a big choice for the future to ask, how does our choice impact the next 7 future generations? So there are pieces of wisdom all around the planet. We all carry some, and I think it will require us to have an open enough mind, an open enough heart to embrace all of this vision. I feel it will require us to redefine how we embrace and work with the feminine wisdom. When I say feminine, I don't necessarily mean wisdom embedded in women, although I do believe that women are naturally more hardwired to embrace this wisdom. For the difference, I was recommended a movie called Mind Walk by Dan Araya, one of our classmates here, which speaks about the two different views of the world. One of them is the more Cartesian, which takes the world as a machine and breaks it down to little pieces. If you fix the pieces, you fix the whole machine. The other is something that came across in the systems theory, which speaks about the world as an interconnected system that is constantly influencing each other. So actually, you cannot just take its parts and fix it. You need to look at the system as a whole, because fixing the parts, it's just like the whack-a-mole. You fix one and the other one pops. So this is what I feel is required, is to look at what is the masculine wisdom, which is more about the pieces, and what is the feminine, which is more about the interconnections. And use both of them to create solutions that were not created before, that are both rational and both intuitive, both part-based and both holistic. But most importantly of all, I think it will not only require us to reinvent ourselves as human species, but it will require all of us individually to reinvent ourselves as human beings and as person. And I feel this is the biggest challenge of them all, to change the way we are inside so we can create the future that is sustainable for all of us. So that's all I had to say. Thank you for giving me a chance to practice, and I wish you a nice afternoon. Thank you.